During the course of making videos for this channel, I have had many opportunities to experience great games, but not all of them made it to the finish line, whether it be due to me losing interest or the challenge just seemed insurmountable. A key example of this is The Longest Journey. Though I did come back and eventually complete it, there are other games that have been dropped and discarded, unsure of their fate and whether they will be picked up again. This video will explore some of these titles and outline why I stopped playing them. Before I begin, it would help a lot if you liked and subscribed for more content like this. And please let me know in the comments if there's any games that you dropped, and what the reason for this was. This list will not be in any particular order, and represents a small portion of the total number of games I've run out of time for. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered places you into the shoes of a member of the village of Tippa, locked in a world of perpetual miasma. The only thing that keeps the mist at bay are giant crystals that must be revitalized with myrrh every year. This energy, harvested from trees located in dangerous environments, is the key to survival, collected into chalices that hold a splinter of crystal that keeps the local caravans safe from the effects of the miasma. Initially designed as a couch co-op multiplayer game for the Nintendo GameCube, I played this game with my partner on the Sony PlayStation 4, with him on the Nintendo Switch. I like that the game has cross-console capability, but as you can see from the footage, it's not cross-region, so I was stuck playing the game in Japanese. The flow of the game is that you go out and extract myrrh from 3 trees with your caravan, then the year cycles on. You keep doing this until you figure out what's generating the miasma, and try to put a stop to it. Along the way you make memories by encountering other caravans along the road, and the story slowly builds from this. In dungeons, you can team up with up to 3 other players to make the journey easier and more enjoyable. Whilst it didn't bother me too much, the remaster has this feature entirely online, and you don't travel with the other players in the same caravan like you did in the GameCube title. I think this put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, though the reason I didn't mind it is because, as adults, we have little time to connect with others in the same location at the same time, so I could see why Square Enix decided to do it this way. Anyway, as for the reason I dropped it, I just felt like it was getting repetitive having to do the same thing over and over again. And whilst I can read Japanese, I'm not fluent and not as quick at reading as my partner, who is native. Also, when you are asked to read and compose a letter at the end of a dungeon and decide on a gift to send back to your family, with a time limit, that was just too much stress for me. Maybe I'll come back to the game one day, but it's not an immediate priority. Shining Force: The Legacy of Great Intention. Yeah, with a name like that, it's no wonder someone would check out before clocking the full title. But in all seriousness, this isn't a bad game, it's just tough. You play the role of Max, a child from the kingdom of Guardiana, who sets out on a quest to stop the revival of the Dark Dragon. So original. I enjoyed that the cast of the game is quite varied. You get centaurs, bird people, a lycanthrope, a robot. There's a lot of variety. And whilst you can't take every character into battle at the same time, you do have choice over how you would like to build your party, though be careful as those that are benched do not gain experience. The game plays out as a series of chapters which are divided into field exploration and tactical battles. The battles themselves are fine, though if you aren't dedicating your time to ensure all your units level up equally, or the ones that you plan to use in battle, you are going to be in for a world of pain. The enemies also tend to love targeting Max, or your healers, so I often found these units dying quite regularly. You can promote units to a new class at level 10, though I found it better to wait until they were level 20. At least, that's what I thought was the right thing to do. This meant that there was a lot of additional extra grinding done on my part, which became repetitive after a while. I also got stuck on a battle midway through the game where one of the antagonists makes you chase her through a keep. The enemies thrown at you were not the main challenge, it was the fact that she would land on a throne that could only be approached from the front, so you needed a strong hitter or characters that are flying to even be able to get to her to damage her reliably without having to fall back on spellcasters, and forget archers as I never found them to be strong enough. Then there's the fact that for some odd reason, she could heal herself without using a turn. I felt that this was unfair and unforgivable. Whilst I was able to grind to the point where I could eventually beat her, I ended up getting stuck again in a later battle, so decided to put it down. I do intend to pick it up later because I love the sequel, but we all have good intentions that we don't follow through on, right? Octopath Traveler, the original one, was the game that founded the HD 2D style that has been used in other titles since. I think it's a nice aesthetic and a great way to bring older games back to life with a new coat of paint. In this game, you take on the role of one of 8 characters and then travel the world to recruit the others and play through their chapters. Or not. The choice is really up to you. But apparently, if you want the true ending, you do need to gather all characters, so there is that. It has been a while since I played the game, but from what I remember of it, is that I thought the writing and voice acting were great. I also liked that each of the characters had a field action that you could use on NPCs. For example, one could steal, another could coax an NPC into your party, and yet another could challenge them to a duel. Each of these 8 characters had a unique skill, and some needed to be used to progress their own chapters. Battles were turn-based, typical JRPG affair, but enemies had shield points that needed to be broken before serious damage could be done to them, and your own party could store boost points to unleash powerful or multiple attacks, as a risk-reward system, similar to Bravely Default. What I didn't like is that some of the battles, even the random encounters which should be simple, took way too long to beat, and there was a lot of necessary grinding to be able to progress. I think I got through all of the second chapters of the characters, and then decided that I'd had enough and put the game down, as it was taking too long. I also didn't like that the characters seemed isolated from each other's narratives, even despite the fact that they're travelling together. It may be something that I pick up again later, but it has been over 5 years since I've put this one down, so that's incredibly unlikely. Valkyria Chronicles is one of those games from Sega that I really wanted to love, and in concept I do. It's just the practice that lets me down. I like the idea of being a small battalion going against a much larger invading army. The stories intertwined within the overtone narrative of war really sells the urgency of what they are trying to achieve. But the combat just fell flat for me. It's not that it's bad, it's that I'm not good at it. Enemies can fire on you as you are moving, and most of the time that I lose a unit and get someone else to go pick them up, I end up losing them too. And I'm not a big fan of games where you can permanently lose characters, because I get so attached to them. So it always made me want to reset when this happened, and gave me original Fire Emblem PTSD. We play the role of Welkin, the son of a renowned war hero who is focused more on art than the art of war, and is caught up in the struggle as the neighbouring East European Imperial Alliance invades. The game is loosely based on our world, though there is nary a resemblance, other than names that I could note. Tanks and units that seem almost inhuman take to the field in several scenarios, though most end up being capture the flag type missions. The number of turns you can take per round is determined by the number of emblems that you have along the top of your strategy bar, and emblems deplete more for certain actions than others, such as moving your tank. You can also lose emblems for that battle if one of the important units in your squad gets knocked out and has to withdraw. And if your tank blows up, it's game over. And I did accidentally blow myself up. Or wait, I was trying to stop a gate from being destroyed and accidentally shot the gate. You'll see in the footage. The reason I put this game down was because I got stuck on the infamous Chapter 7, which pits your crew against a large, almost impenetrable tank. I was owned so hard, and that's even before the dreaded Valkyria was supposed to emerge. I think it was the opposite of placebo, whatever that is, that made me put it down. A dread fear that if I was suffering this much even before she took to the field, I was going to be truly owned when she came to the fore. It's such a shame too, because I was mostly enjoying the game for what it was before this happened. I guess if I did a bit more grinding, I'd be able to take care of it, but the thought of having to spend time grinding over and over to level my combat classes just didn't sit well with me, so I rolled on over to another title, like the helmet of one of my downed allies being crushed beneath the treads of a tank, whilst their head was still in it. Tales of Destiny 2, not to be confused with Tales of Eternia, is the 4th title in the Tales of series and only released in Japan. Whilst there is an unofficial patch for the game now, there wasn't one when I first started playing. Yes, it's been a while. The game was developed for the Sony PlayStation 2 and was later ported to the PSP. I'm playing the PSP version and have been enjoying it for the most part. In fact, The sense of accomplishment I get from playing in all Japanese and not getting lost is very hard to describe if you've never experienced this feeling before. Playing the game in its native language feels almost magical, and I enjoyed the same sensation before with Tales of Phantasia Full Voice Edition, which I did finish and review previously. We play as the descendant of the hero of the previous game, Kyle, who is the son of Stan and Rudy. Funny, considering these two always seem to be fighting with each other in the original game. Stan perished before the events of the game, so Kyle and Rudy live together in an orphanage in the town of Cresta, with the game set some 18 years after the events of the previous title. The world has been much changed, from when the sky ruined down destruction, and you can see this if you visit the ruins of Darrelsheed. Kyle's quest really begins when he meets a strange girl who emerges from a giant lens within some ruins. She mentions that she is looking for a hero, and completely bypasses Kyle, not giving him a second chance. Determined to prove her wrong, Kyle starts his adventure, which turns into a globe and dimension-trotting journey, which sees him coming face to face with the man who murdered his father. And this brings me to why I put this game down. True fans of the Tales of series would know of a foe called Barbatos, who shows up as a cameo boss in some of the other titles. He is notorious because he can counter the use of healing spells and items with attacks that immediately target the user and are difficult to avoid. And yes, I was stuck on all 3 iterations of battles with him. Each time I did persevere and I managed to get past them by grinding and maybe a bit of sheer luck, but the battle system is also very experimental and unique, and I'm not quite sure if I ever truly vibed with it. For starters, attacking an enemy depletes spirit points, and if this gets to 0, you need to stand still to replenish it. Or you can try casting magic. Opposing this is your MP, which also depletes when used, so it's a fine balance of making sure your character doesn't run out of either at a critical moment. It's also not wise to try and flank an enemy in the field, because if you do, everything will then cost your character double SP to use. So you need to make sure that the enemy characters are not getting onto the left side of your party, and this becomes more of a challenge when you get to enemies that can teleport. After Barbatos owned my party more times than I can count, I've been slowly plugging away at the game, and finally did make it to the Egg of God, which is the final dungeon, but I never got to the point of thinking, I'm going to beat this game now. I just kind of put it down. Barbatos just burnt me out. Maybe one day I will come back to it, but I have the fear that if Barbatos caused me so much grief, then what is the final boss of the game going to do? I do, however, like that the game is very accessible for people that can speak some semblance of Japanese, with repeatable skits and the next location that you need to go clearly indicated on the map, meaning you don't need to be fluent to enjoy the game. And there you have it. 5 games that I've retired and might pick up if I feel the urge to finally finish them, though some of them have been in this status for more than 3 years, so it is unlikely. I have another game review that I'm working on now, but I wanted to ensure that I gave it enough time to guest state before I committed to recording the audio for it. In saying that, I know that this is a different type of video to what I usually put out, so please let me know what you think. And also, would you be interested in me finishing and reviewing any of the games that I listed? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know of any games that you've retired yourself and why you did so. This has been Venoix bringing you a list of games that I've retired. If you'd like to see more content like this, let me know. I appreciate the time you take to watch my videos, it means a lot. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye for now.